welcome to RetroLogic. And also welcome to GOTY-30, our award show for the year 1991. Now, this is not going to be a normal episode. There's no Price is Retro. There's no topic. There's no icebreaker. We're going to go down every game that we think deserves to be on the list and decide what is the best game of the year of the ones that we've decided. And I'm not going to explain it anymore because it's pretty self-explanatory. But guys, how old were you in 1991? Adam, how old were you in 91?
This feels like a fishing scheme. Trying to determine how old I am.
This is spear fishing.
Spear fishing.
We all know. We all already know.
In 91, I would have been 9 years old.
9 years old. Good. Turn your mic up a little bit also. John, how old were you in 91?
5.
5. And then Liam, how about you, bud?
I was a fresh-faced 6-year-old boy.
6. And then Sam.
I did not exist.
Oh. So
Yeah.
The world's a
I'm the
better
old
place
man.
now.
I was also 5 in 1991.
Well, I mean, I guess doing some quick math, I was probably conceived around the end of 91.
That's the most important thing.
Yeah, so you existed, kind of.
Yeah, you're kind of GOTY material. Like, you're going to be...
Well, he didn't
the best.
launch. He hadn't launched.
That's right. No, he didn't launch. He can't count. Sorry.
Yeah, you were in development.
It's still
Awesome.
a
Good.
9-month development cycle.
We've got the whole RetroLogic crew here. We've got Adam and John and Liam and Sam and me, and we are your panel. We are the ones who are going to decide what RetroLogic thinks are the games of the year. And so we're just going to jump right into things because why not? So the consoles that were available this year, we had the NES, still putting games out, Sega Genesis, TurboGrafx 16, Game Boy, Game Gear. We had 2 console launches. We had the SNES launch this year and the CDI. And I don't think there's a single CDI game on this entire list.
No.
Because if anybody can name me a CDI game that came out.
I got it right here. It's Hotel Mario.
Was that in
Nice.
91?
Nah. Yeah. 94, sorry.
4, okay. Yeah. I mean, launch year for CDI was probably pretty rough going up
Yeah.
against Mario World and all that. So we are not going to start with Game of the Year. We're going to start at the bottom with Multiplayer Game of the Year because we want to save the best for last, obviously. Excuse me. Okay, so Multiplayer Game of the Year. We are also including arcade and some PC games in here. Some of these games were nominated by the community. Some of them are just games that were good that I decided on. So we're going to start with Multiplayer Game of the Year. And the nominees are Simpsons Arcade Game, Turtles in Time Arcade Game, The Streets of Rage for Sega Genesis, Toe Jam and Earl for Sega Genesis, Battletoads for the NES, and Bomberman for the TurboGrafx 16. So, just to kick things off, what is the top game for each of you? Let's start with Adam on this one.
For a multiplayer game of the year?
Best multiplayer experience of those games.
I went with The Simpsons Arcade, and this is one of the games that I put as far as the top 3 for the entire year. So I've got to go with this one. It definitely was not the first 4-player arcade game, but it was the first 4-player arcade game, at least to me, that felt like you were truly working together. It's a lot of the Turtles game and stuff like Gauntlet. It, to me at least, more felt like you were fighting whatever enemies were near you, and the other players were just kind of fighting whatever enemies were around them, and you weren't really so much helping each other. You were just playing the game at the same time, right? So I felt like whenever we played The Simpsons, you were actually it felt more like a family and you were trying to help each other, and everybody was working together.
Because couldn't you like rescue each other, and you could like do like combo moves, stuff like that? Like depending on which two players were playing was like a different combo move.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been a while since I played that, man. Okay.
Yeah, they have it at my local arcade, and I finally, like, I played it a bunch when I was a kid. It's been a long time, and I actually put hands on it about a month and a half ago, and it gets my vote too. I like, it brought back so many great memories, and it's such a blast. And like standing there with my wife and kid, we could all just kind of mess around with it. It was a really good time.
So your number one multiplayer is also Simpsons arcade game, Liam?
Is also Simpsons. So is this like a group vote thing? How is this working? Do we know?
There's no rules. We're just gonna see where everybody lands,
fight.
and if somebody wants to die on a hill, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Somebody wants to die on the bridge, we'll have to fight it out. All right, John, what's your vote for best multiplayer game of the year?
Since I did not play the Simpsons arcade game, I'm going to vote for Bomberman for the TurboGrafx 16.
Really?
Now, can you speak to the TurboGrafx game specific? Because I've played Bomberman, obviously, and multiplayer Bomberman doesn't change too much. But like, what's special about this iteration?
So this one is kind of like the precursor to the Super Nintendo version. They're very similar. It's a step up from the 8-bit graphics from the NES. So, like I said, it's kind of a half step. It's like an in between. You didn't quite have the smoothness of the SNES version with the 4-player available multiplayer, but this one was right there.
So I was going to say one of the advantages of the TurboGrafx is that in order to do, you can call it an advantage or a disadvantage, the multi-tap was kind of necessary if you wanted to do any multiplayer because the console itself only has one controller slot.
Correct.
So that being said, like you would assume that most people had the multi-tap. And so if that's the case, this may not be true. I never had one. I didn't have one as a kid. If that's the case, then you have 4-player Bomberman more accessible than you would on
5-player Bomberman.
Why?
It was up to 5 player with the Turbo Tap. It was up to 5 players on TurboGrafx 16.
Weird. Okay, cool.
It sounds like chaos.
Good deal. I mean, what was it on the Sega Saturn? 9-player, 12-player on the Sega Saturn?
I'm not sure. Did it have a LAN port, the Saturn?
It had something like that. We played it
8
once.
Seemed to become the standard for a lot of the later editions.
Yeah.
Yep. Any multiplayer Bomberman's chaos. So
okay.
That's why it's so fun.
Sam, what about you? Multiplayer game?
Yeah, I love Bomberman, so I may join John there. It was between that and Streets of Rage for me. I do really like Streets of Rage. Actually, out of all 3 of those beat 'em ups, Streets of Rage. This is the first Streets of Rage.
Yeah, that's why
I was thinking Streets of Rage 2.
Yeah, 2 is great.
2 is great. The first one is, it's good, but
it's fine.
I don't think it really hit its stride till later.
They had to start somewhere.
Yep,
that puts me in an interesting position now because I'm kind of a tiebreaker. Except I wasn't going to vote for either of those games. I was going to vote for Toe Jam and Earl
as a multiplayer game. I mean, I played it a bit, but
because obviously this is all just based on experience, but that was one of the few games that Adam wanted me to play with.
It all comes back to that.
Yeah.
But the multiplayer component isn't we're talking about the Simpsons and Bomberman multiplayer component is so integral into that experience. Like, did it really change it that much playing it multiplayer?
Here's what I'll say. I don't think that the fact that it was multiplayer did much to the game because it was split screen and the split screen would retain if you dropped a level or went up a level without your second player. So I could be on level 3 and Adam could be on level 4 and the split screen's still there.
Right.
The reason why I think it might deserve to win is because that feature in and of itself, the fact that it's like this open world, like collectathon, top-down action game where you can interact with each other too, and you can share presents back and forth and stuff like that. But like other than that, the multiplayer component is, because there's two of us, we're going to get to the goal faster. We're going to find all the pieces. Just the innovation of the game itself and how they implemented the multi-level split screen is incredible. Also, I just really, really enjoy it as a game. It's just one of those, like, it's not as like action packed as like a beat 'em up or as a Bomberman. It's not competitive. It's cooperative. It's kind of just like
if we had a co-op game of the year, this would be my co-op.
Yeah, maybe we'll do that next year.
I mean, it's pretty innovative, but I don't necessarily. I mean, I can't really think of another game where you can play co-op and be on two different levels at the same time.
It's crazy.
But also, what blew my mind as a kid playing it is that it wasn't full-time split screen. If you guys were, if both Chojam and Earl were like in the same vicinity, it would switch to full screen and you would both be on the full screen. And that was really cool.
Yeah. So maybe it doesn't deserve to win multiplayer game of the year, but I would be remiss if I didn't at least talk about how much fun it is as a multiplayer game. In spite of its limitations, it's like a chill multiplayer game. That's what it is. Because it's not a high intensity like beat 'em up or anything like that. It's just very chill, like hang out with your friend, play some Toe Jam and Earl, whatever.
I don't know. There's certain enemies.
I heard dodge the presents.
It can be frustrating, but it's never like frantic or frenetic. It's pretty slow paced. But if I have to choose between the Simpsons Arcade and Bomberman, I'm gonna have to go Simpsons Arcade. Like if you put those two games in front of me, I'm gonna go Simpsons Arcade to play multiplayer.
I mean, the sound is so good in that game. Seeing the animation again, I mean, at the time it looked like the cartoon, and it still kind of looks like the cartoon.
If we were up against Bomberman 64 or something a little more new or to change the formula or more of a party game, then like I would be a harder decision. But I'm gonna go with Simpsons Arcade. On that one.
If this was Super Bomberman, I might be willing to die on a hill for it, but since it's the earlier iteration on the TurboGrafx, I can let it go.
All right. Okay, so multiplayer game of the year for 1991 is the Simpsons Arcade game. Congratulations. I don't know how to play that game now other than emulation.
No!
So
Eat my shorts.
All right.
They have it, or they did have it. Well, I mean, this depends on where you're listening, but
right.
The last time I played it was at Pinball's Kingdom, south of Austin in Buda.
Oh, okay.
So also, Dan, Arcade 1-Up put out a cabinet, like one of those at-home Best Buy cabinets this past year.
I know, but those are like $400.
Yeah.
So no.
They had this arcade cabinet at a Godfather's Pizza in my town, and I wasn't allowed to play it.
Awesome. All right. So next category, we have Innovative Game of the Year. And the nominees are Toe Jam and Earl for the Sega Genesis, The Miracle Piano for the NES, Lemmings for the PC, ActRaiser for the NES, and Super Mario...
Super NES.
ActRaiser for the Super NES. Right. My bad. And Super Mario Bros. Print World for the PC, nominated by Flightsy. John, why don't you go first? Who is your top pick for Innovative Game of the Year?
I think I'm going to have to go ActRaiser on this one.
Okay. All right. Talk to me about ActRaiser. I don't think I've ever played it.
It is just... There's so much going on in that game that hadn't been done before. Like, not all in one game. Like, there's several games that are like parts of it, but it was never put together like that. Like, it's just it's an experience.
I'm really excited to play the remake.
Renaissance.
Yeah, when the price drops, I'm definitely going to jump into that. Liam, what about you? Innovative Game of the Year.
Also going with ActRaiser.
Wow.
I feel like the overworld map had been done a bunch, but having that kind of building sim on top of a solid like arcade battler, like side-scrolling platform battler, was just, it felt great. I never beat this game. I keep meaning to go back to it, but it's a lot of fun.
Sam, what do you think?
I actually think it's Lemmings. I thought about ActRaiser. I like ActRaiser. I think ActRaiser is probably a better game, even. But as far as innovation, I think all the pieces of ActRaiser had been done before. They hadn't been done in the same game, but to me, that's not necessarily incredibly innovative to just combine a couple genres. It's impressive to do it well, but that doesn't make it innovative to me.
So what is the innovative about Lemmings for you then, Sam?
For Lemmings, it's because of the sheer number of games that came after it that people would immediately compare to Lemmings. Because that comes up a lot even to this day. When you talk about a game like, even a game like Pikmin to an extent, people will bring up Lemmings just because of the way having to control a sort of horde of individual units and navigate them. And that to me says that prior to Lemmings, nobody had done that, at least successfully. It really did break some new ground because we have nothing else that comes to mind to compare those things to.
Yeah, I mean, Nintendo would go on to do their own with that Mario DK series, right?
Yeah.
But like Lemmings was that. I remember playing that at a friend's house and being like, "This is so cool! I can't believe we're like impacting this, like the environments and having them do this stuff." It's a great game.
Lemmings is a special place for me because Lemmings 2 was the only other mouse-compatible Super Nintendo game I had besides Mario Paint. And I just fell in love with Lemmings 2, which is like really just more levels of Lemmings. There's nothing really different in Lemmings 2, but it just, the concept of it, the puzzly, like fun and like purposefully killing them sometimes because that's also fun. Like it's fun no matter what you do in Lemmings, so
Sadistic.
I'm a fan of Lemmings for sure. Adam, what is your pick? Innovative game of the year.
I love Lemmings. I played the original on my dad's Ancient. Probably was like a gateway at the time. And I loved it, but I got to go with Toe Jam and Earl for the reasons that I mentioned when we were discussing the multiplayer game of the year. I just think that they sort of just, they found a new way to make a game that felt really chill, despite the fact that sometimes you were being chased by a monster mailbox or a swarm of bees. There's a swarm of bees there, right?
Yep.
All kinds of crazy enemies, but all kinds of weird stuff that can happen. The presents. There's the whole thing where you got an item, but until you open that particular present, you don't know what the item is. So it could be something.
There's bad presents.
There's bad ones too
that kill you.
But you don't know if it's good or bad until you open it. So
like sometimes it's very situational. Like rocket skates could be awesome, get you across the level really fast, or you don't know you're getting it, so you just get thrown off the edge of the screen really fast. And then once you fall off the screen, you don't lose the rocket skates. You keep them for the next levels. You just pray that you can survive, And then there's stuff that you just like, oh my God, like throwing tomatoes or wings that you're just like, please, can I get one of those?
So there's a lot of different things about it that were new. And it just made for a really unique experience. So I'm going with that one.
All right. So, I'm not going to vote ActRaiser because I haven't played it. I'm sure it's great. And I think I have to go Toe Jam and Earl on this one. I have love for both, but I just have more love for ToeJam and Earl. Like, I don't know how else to describe it. So we are stuck between ActRaiser and ToeJam and Earl. Adam, have you played ActRaiser?
I have, and it wasn't necessarily the easiest decision, but I just kept going back to ToeJam and Earl, and unfairly, it may come down to nostalgia and how much fun I had with ToeJam and Earl.
Yeah.
Because I don't think I played ActRaiser until maybe the mid 2000s. And ToeJam and Earl, we played it probably since I'm trying to remember when I got the Genesis. It must have been 92 or 93. So it wasn't the year it came out, but we played that game for years.
Yeah, we did.
There was a lot of Genesis games that I blew through that I got bored of pretty quick, but ToeJam and Earl was just, we would keep going back to it over and over again.
ToeJam and Earl is kind of almost a roguelike in a way. In the way that, like, well, because it has that same kind of like, oh, well, let's start over and maybe we'll get different presents. Or all the levels are randomized, right? So like the first level's not, but once you go to the real first level, like the second level or whatever in your elevator, the level layout's totally different. So every playthrough is different. It's very roguelike-y in that way. So it really is addicting. It really is like, okay, we died, one more playthrough. Like, what's it going to be like this time? Maybe we'll get pieces on the first 3 levels, and that'll make it way easier for us, So yeah.
Well, so we're talking about innovation, right? That's the point of this category.
That's true.
I'm gonna go back to Sam's point for Lemmings, where Lemmings kind of set the stage for a ton of games after it.
Mm-hmm.
And John, I might be shooting myself in the foot here, and you with it. We could take off toes here, but I don't know if if ActRaiser actively influenced a bunch of games after it. I mean, there's been a lot of world building games, obviously, but I don't know if you could say they're ActRaiser like. Would we say the same about ToeJam and Earl? Do we think that its innovation impacted things afterwards? Maybe. Like, I think different kind of platformer.
Yeah, it's hard to like pinpoint exactly what ToeJam and Earl influenced, but I think what ActRaiser did was take a couple existing genres and kind of mesh them together in a clever way that hadn't been done before. But ToeJam and Earl kind of did something totally different. Like there really is absolutely nothing like it that in that time period. So
right.
Anything that came after it with procedurally generated levels or adaptive split screen got it from ToeJam and Earl.
Yeah. So, John, I mean, you and I are on this hill together. I'm willing to give it to ToeJam and Earl if you are, but I'll fight.
Well, on the other hand, all of us gave some consideration to ActRaiser.
Sure.
And we say the same about ToeJam and Earl.
I've never played it, though. So I didn't.
I can't say that I played ToeJam and Earl more than like 5 minutes, so I can't speak to it. I mean,
I think on Liam's concession, we have to give it to ToeJam and Earl, though.
I think so. Yeah, I'm willing to do that. Sorry, John.
Don't blame me. I voted for Lemmings.
Man, Lemmings. I'm telling you, if ToeJam and Earl wasn't on this list, Lemmings would have taken it for me for sure. We can't move on without saying that Super Mario Bros. Print World isn't actually a game. It's just a coloring book you can print. So that's a thing.
Fair enough.
Innovative Game of the Year for 1991 is ToeJam and Earl because it had to win something. All right. Next up, we've got Mascot Game of the Year. This is a game that either launched or used a very well-known set of characters or character, and is a mascot. So we've got Battletoads for the NES, Sonic the Hedgehog for the Sega Genesis, Super Mario World for the SNES, and Turtles in Time in the arcade. So the other sort of consideration for this is what other what other types of media do these characters appear in or represent? Sonic had a comic book and a cartoon. Mario had, you name it, bed sheets, toasters,
Movies.
TMNT wasn't a game first, and I guess with that consideration, maybe Battletoads doesn't even belong here, but they're so iconic,
Was that a comic book before it was a game, or did Battletoads characters originate with the game?
No, they
Originated with the game.
Yeah,
That's
with
what
the
that's what I thought.
because
I think they were kind of a coordinated multimedia thing, though, from the start.
They are.
Like Earthworm Jim.
they
They
are a
tried to
transmedia
do
property.
that. It failed.
Yeah.
They had an
They tried to
animated
launch
series.
a TV show. Well, no, they tried to. It never launched.
Oh, it didn't launch.
No.
Wow.
And
wasn't
there were
there a
action
comic
figures
book?
planned. There was a comic book later. There was action figures planned, but I don't know that they ever even launched. But
So-
Battletoads was specifically designed by Rare to be a competitor for Ninja Turtles. It's the only reason why it exists.
Clearly, right. Or just one of those things where it just rides on the coattails because it's similar.
Well, yeah, no, they wanted it to be basically a Ninja Turtle. Like, that was its sole purpose, was to be a competitor. It was going to have its own TV show, action figures, everything just like Ninja Turtles. It just flopped.
Yeah, it looks like the initial like pilot aired, John, and then they never got picked up for
Yep.
series. So I think there's one thing that ultimately aired.
One episode.
Okay.
Yeah, nobody
Yeah.
probably even watched it.
I'll keep it in here because of the intention, and they are pretty iconic.
I will say in '92, I dressed as a Battletoad for Halloween, and it was a licensed costume.
That's
Wow.
Nice.
So there were some things out there.
I also had to add the Simpsons arcade game to this list based on those considerations.
Sure.
Oh, that's
So
true. That's
this
fair.
doesn't necessarily have to do with the quality of the game, but the quality of the character.
Mm-hmm.
So with that consideration, Liam, what is your first pick?
I'm going with Sonic. So, Sonic is iconic. I read the comics. I did not have a Genesis. I played a Genesis at my friend's house. We played Sonic and Sonic 2 a ton. But I would pick up and read the comics. I thought it was really entertaining. I loved the TV show. I watched that a ton with that like robot chicken and
Yep.
drill dozer character and whatnot. And then obviously has just gone on, always in Mario's or often in Mario's shadows. But I think that it makes the most sense for this list. Super Mario World is incredible, but if this was Super Mario 3, I'd argue you have the Koopalings, you have a bunch of new characters that come out of that game. I don't know if there's, other than Yoshi's the big standout from Super Mario World. Like, I don't know if there's that many iconic things that come from that game specifically, which I think is that's how I interpreted this.
Yeah.
So like Turtles in Time, pre-existing, Simpsons, biggest cartoon on the planet this year. But Sonic, this is the starting point of decades of this franchise.
Cool. I could see that. Sam, what about you?
I think I have to give it to Turtles in Time. My initial thought was maybe Super Mario World. I definitely like the game itself, but I definitely agree with what Liam was saying about, maybe it didn't really, a lot of those characters introduced didn't exactly stick except for Yoshi. So it kind of occupies an odd space within the Mario canon. Like, we never went back to Dinosaur Island, for example. The Koopalings kind of just disappeared for a long time and then came back later, and now we can't get rid of them. But, it's kind of weird as a mascot game, I would say. Whereas Turtles in Time, just everything about that feels so right with the Turtles franchise. Like, I'm thinking just specifically about like the Bebop and Rocksteady fight on the pirate ship and how you can get them to take each other out. And that just feels like something right out of the cartoon.
That's Sam. That's kind of the consideration that we had last year when it was just John and I, and we were trying to decide between Mario and Ninja Turtles. And we landed on Ninja Turtles last year because we decided that Ninja Turtles is a better transmedia property. The cartoon was better, the comics were better, the action figures were better. And as a character,
there's a reason the Mario movie wasn't good. And Mario is really just a game character at the end of the day.
All right, good call on that one. Adam, what do you think?
Well, I don't have really too much to add because even before anyone mentioned it, I was definitely going to go Turtles. If we're talking about the biggest multimedia mascot or multimedia characters, it originated as a comic book, the toy series, the TV show, all wildly successful. The games were almost the afterthought for Ninja Turtles, even though they ended up being, especially those earlier ones, fantastic games. I can't really think of I'm sure someone will correct me or remind me of something that I blocked out, but I can't really think of an objectively bad Turtles iteration. There's some weird stuff in there, and there's been some stuff over the years that particularly fans of the older Turtles didn't like, but they're a pretty quality franchise. There's always going to be, a bad egg here and there, but they're a pretty quality franchise through and through, and they've been, going on close to 30 years now. The others, I agree, Mario is a fantastic mascot, but he's a game character. Sonic is a great mascot and had some, maybe some moderately successful side stuff like the comic book and the TV show. But again, at the end of the day, still a game character. The Simpsons is interesting, but I gotta just give it to the Turtles.
That's my
I was
thing.
A huge Turtles fan.
That's my thing with The Simpsons is that game is really good, and The Simpsons had some other pretty good games. But they were not interesting to me in 1991. Ninja Turtles, on the other hand, was my life in 1991. I fell in love.
I don't think we were allowed to watch The Simpsons back then.
No. I fell in love with Sonic the Hedgehog hard, also. And so that's kind of a tough place for me to have to choose between those two. But if I have to go for just what the character is, I'm probably also going to go Turtles. They just nail every piece of transmedia, every single one. So I'm going Turtles. John, can you convince three of us to not go Turtles, or are you also going Turtles?
This will probably be Turtles for me. I put a lot of consideration into Mario just because he's Mario. He's probably arguably the most known character in the world, probably more so than Mickey Mouse these days. He has his own theme park.
He kind of made it possible to have a mascot flagship mascot video game. He invented that.
Well, he is, that's what I was going to say. He kind of invented being a mascot as far as video games go. He didn't have that from Atari. There was no Atari mascot. What, the Pong paddle, was that a mascot?
Pac-Man, maybe.
And Sega tried with Alex Kidd first, right? Was that what it was? And he just didn't resonate.
So I think that if this was just mascot of the year, I would probably give it to Mario because there is no bigger
But you'd probably give it to Mario every year.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the problem. Yeah.
Well, it was very hard to find categories where you couldn't throw Mario in as the winner every time. So we tried to diversify.
Yeah.
And I have to do that again this time with Turtles, just because also in 91 I was probably dressed as a turtle 90% of the time.
And I also will say this is a total bias thing. I find Mario to be incredibly uninteresting as a character, and just him. If he didn't like represent what he does, I wouldn't be into it. I liked Sonic better when I was a kid, just as a character. But
You didn't like the Super Mario Brothers Super Show?
I don't think I did.
You don't like
Really?
Captain Blue Albano as a
Yeah.
Super Mario?
I don't know who that is, so I
my God.
wasn't
Pro wrestler.
I wasn't into wrestling.
How dare you?
I wasn't into wrestling. Okay, jeez.
It's lost a brother, I think.
Yeah, well, it's Adam's fault. All right, so mascot game of the year is decidedly 4-on-1 Turtles in Time, although I think Sonic is a close second for me at least. Awesome. Underdog of the year. This is a game that is really good game, but just for some reason the sales weren't there or the following wasn't there. Let's go down the list here. There's 6 games in Underdog of the Year. We have Kid Icarus of Myths and Monsters for the Game Boy, Decap Attack for the Sega Genesis, Totally Rad for the NES, Microsoft Entertainment Packs 2 and 3 for the PC, Turrican for the TurboGrafx 16, and Monkey Island 2 LeChuck's Revenge for the PC.
Man.
We're going to start with Sam this time.
Oh man, this is like my category. I feel like we should. I'm looking at it further up the list in another category. I feel like we should add Eliminator Boat Duel to this.
We can add it.
I don't know if there was a.
Nope. We can totally.
I already have too many to split my vote between, though. Kid Icarus Missing Monsters is pretty great.
I'll add
yeah.
Eliminator Boat Duel if you're going to choose it. That's what I'll do. If you don't choose it, I'm not adding it because nobody else is going to choose it.
I also want to give some shout outs to Decap Attack.
I knew it.
Because that game is a
Yeah.
very interesting case because it was reskinned for North American release. It was originally like Turbo Hat Adventure or something. Like it's like a Doki Doki Panic situation where they just like reskinned the game for North America. And that probably contributed a bit to why it didn't, because they probably didn't even advertise it because they would have had to, work harder, I guess. But
Go ahead.
Can we just appreciate the fact for 1 second that Sam chose for Underdog of the Year a game that wasn't even in the category?
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
spirit
That's
of
right. It's very
Underdog.
on brand.
So good.
Eliminator Boat Duel.
If you go Eliminator Boat Duel, I will too, because I'm with you.
Eliminator Boat Duel, man. That is a
Wow.
game I've been championing because it's on NSO and everybody
awesome.
makes fun of it. And you can't say it's not an underdog when most copies of the original cartridge have the title spelled wrong on the top. It's spelled with 2 O's. Eliminator.
Wow. That's NES.
Only
Yeah.
that game got so much hate when it got added to the NSO because they're like, I've never even heard of this game.
And then when you play it,
it's
yeah.
on
It's
there.
actually quite good.
Oh, it's awesome.
Sam, so your pick is Eliminator Boat Duel?
Of course it is.
All right. Okay, great. I'm adding it to the list. It's on there now. Adam, Underdog of the Year.
Well, I mean, I'm having a hard time not picking Eliminator Boat Duel, even though I've never played it.
Wow.
Just
Do it.
in the spirit. See, these must be underdogs because I've only played 2 of them.
Yep.
What'd you play?
I played Totally Rad. We had Totally Rad, right?
Yeah, and it's great.
It's a good game.
very good
and I
game.
played Monkey Island 2. I don't know that Monkey Island 2 belongs in this category. Everybody
Yeah, I don't think
loves
so.
Monkey Island.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it had many, many games following it. It had a remake. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it belongs.
Get
in
outta here,
Underdog
Monkey
of the Year.
You're gone.
It's a fantastic game. I mean,
So-
sort of then by default, I have to go with Totally Rad because I've never played. Wait, maybe I've played Decap Attack.
I had it.
Well, the fact that I can't remember for sure if I played it or not, I guess means it's in the right category.
There's a game on Microsoft Entertainment Pack 3 that I'm sure that we all played. It's called Ski Free. That was on the PC.
Oh my god.
Oh no,
Yeah, but
I haven't
the
played it. I
Yeti
know of
eats you
it.
at the end.
Yes, the Yeti eats
Every
you
time.
every time.
No matter what you do.
I know.
I added that for Flightsy. He mentioned
I
it.
figured. I just figured I would mention that was on there.
They're actually two games, but I decided if one of those wins, then they both deserve to win. So they're combined.
Fair enough.
All right. So
I know you put me down for totally rad, but in the spirit of the category, I'm going with Eliminator Boat Duel.
oh my gosh.
Oh, man.
All right.
Yes.
100%. All in.
Okay. So I am torn between two of these. I'm torn between Totally Rad and Turrican. Turrican doesn't get the recognition it deserves. It's a high quality run and gun with tons of weapons. There's a bunch of different games, and for some reason, it just never took off. Just never resonated. Just so.
Isn't it a relatively popular Super Nintendo game though? Super Turrican?
Yeah,
I
the
wouldn't-
director's cut is actually included with the analog Super NT.
Yeah,
on
that's
there.
because
So I
they
played that one. It's pretty awesome. I just can't say anything about the TurboGrafx game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just mean the series itself. So even if it doesn't win, if you haven't played a Turrican game, go check it out. Yeah, I think I have to go Turrican on this one.
That's a great choice. Turrican, it's really interesting, like, at least with Super Turrican, how huge the stages are. Like, that really impressed me.
Yeah, there's a
Of
lot.
course, that is the director's cut, so...
It's just it's a top-notch run and gun. It's as good as Contra, but just I don't know. John, your pick for Underdog of the Year.
I'm also going to go for Eliminator Boat Duel.
Okay.
But I also want to mention that on Microsoft Entertainment Pack 2 had Rodent's Revenge, and I played a lot of that game too. The one where you're the mouse and you have to get all the pieces of cheese. Oh,
I don't know.
good old
what any of
Flightsy,
that
bringing
is.
back memories.
It's good. He's good for that.
Early PC games, man.
And then Liam, finally, Underdog of the Year, even though it doesn't really matter because Eliminator Boat Duel is going to win.
Yeah, I mean, I got to throw it up for Kid Icarus. I don't know if it's going to take anything on these, but I loved this game. I still love this game. I feel like it did everything that Kid Icarus should have done on the NES, but was able to do on the Game Boy. You could actually go in 4 directions. You didn't just die if you fell off the bottom
Platform.
You could actually use your wings and fly a little bit, which was cool. You'd think that you could use those for a little while. It kind of spelled things out a little bit better than the original did. And then the reason why I think it deserved Underdog is because we never saw it again, or we didn't see it for another 20 years. This put the nail in the coffin and killed the series, and it did not deserve to do so. It's one of the few Game Boy games that you can go back to now, and it is still a lot of fun to play.
That's why it can't be Underdog of the Year, because there's another game after it. There is no Eliminator Boat Duel 2.
Well,
but there's
We're still
Turrican.
waiting.
Still waiting on Eliminator Boat Duel 2.
yeah, these are just series that didn't get the due that they deserve. There could be sequels. Excuse me. If nothing else, Kid Icarus of Myths and Monsters, everybody listening within earshot should go find a way to play it. If nothing,
It was on the 3DS Virtual Console.
Yeah.
I think you can still get it
Oh,
there,
yeah.
and it's pretty great.
I'll have to go download that right now. Okay, so Underdog of the Year is decidedly Eliminator Boat Duel by a majority vote. I guess I have to go play it now. I guess that's what that
you
means.
need to. It's fantastic.
All right, moving swiftly on. Sports Game of the Year. Sports Game of the Year. Well, hopefully you don't have to spend too much time on this one because I don't think I've played... Oh, no, I guess I've played Pilot Wings. We've got Pilot Wings for the SNES. TV Sports Hockey for the TurboGrafx 16, nominated by our very own NHL Chris HL94 in the community. Tecmo Super Bowl for the Game Boy. Actually, I think that was NES.
Should be SNES, isn't it?
I think the NES version. Well, I'll have to look it up. Anyway, Tecmo Super Bowl, and I'll look it up. And then Cyber Stadium Base Wars for the NES, another community submission.
Yeah, it's the NES.
NES. Yeah, it was never on Game Boy. Okay. So Super Tecmo Bowl for the NES.
It's a $high game.
All right, so I'm going to go first. I'm going to go Pilot Wings because I've never played the other ones. Done.
Yeah, I'm pretty much with you on Pilot Wings for the same reason. Sorry.
Does anybody have strong feelings about any of these other games?
I mean, I think that the only thing is that Tecmo Bowl is just regarded as one of the greatest NES games in general, not just like across the board, one of the best sports games and NES games of all time. I haven't played it much. I played it at a friend's house. I never owned it. So I could get behind Pilot Wings. I like that game. I owned it. But Tecmo Super Bowl just legendarily is like top 10, top 15 NES games for many people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was actually going to pick Tecmo Super Bowl simply because I can remember times playing the game. I played a hell of a lot of Bases Loaded 3 on the NES. That game is way better than it has any right to be for an NES game, but I was a huge baseball fan as a kid. I didn't give a rip about football when I was a kid, and yet if it came down to, hey, let's play Bases Loaded or let's play Tecmo Super Bowl, it was going to be Tecmo Super Bowl, and that says something where, hey, I want to play this game even though I don't care about the sport itself. So that to me, being a sports game, if you can enjoy it, like, and you don't care at all about that sport professionally in real life, then I think that's a mark of a really good game.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Liam, did you go Tecmo Bowl or Pilot Wings?
Yeah, I think I'm going to go Tecmo Bowl, actually. I'll concede to Pilot Wings. I won't put up a fight, but I think that Tecmo Bowl is the iconic game. It's been rated as the greatest sports game of all time. So
despite my inexperience with it, I'm okay giving it to Super Bowl, even though we have a majority on Pilot Wings.
I just don't know if there's an argument if the Pilot Wings argument is strong enough to beat Tecmo Bowl.
I don't even like that game that much. It's just the one that I played.
I like Pilot Wings 64.
64, yeah, but the Super Nintendo one is like not. It's nothing.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only problem I have with Super Tecmo Bowl is that, or Tecmo Super Bowl, is the first game was very iconic and very good. Not that the second game is bad, but by this time we already had Madden Football that was coming up on Sega Genesis, was a way better game than this. So we'd already seen football games surpass what Tecmo Super Bowl was doing earlier, because it released in 90. So, I mean, this one was already kind of like a late shot for an NFL game.
Fair. I'm changing teams. I'm going Team Tecmo Bowl now.
Wow.
They've convinced me. I don't have any strong feelings about any of this, but if I have to throw my vote somewhere, it's going to be Tecmo Bowl now.
Well, my argument against Pilot Wings is that the 64 game is great, but I remember trying to play the Super Nintendo version, and it was just like,
you couldn't land the biplane.
The heck, I thought it sucked.
Sam and John, are you guys willing to concede?
No, it's fine.
Okay, sweet, good.
I'm not arguing it.
All right, Tecmo Super Bowl is the sports game of the year. Well deserved, probably.
It is.
Don't really know. Next up, we've got Racing Game of the Year. We've only got 3 nominees. We have Road Rash for the Sega Genesis, Eliminator Boat Duel for the NES, and F-Zero for the SNES. And
man,
John, you're going to go first this time.
Racing Game of the Year. This is a tough one for me because I love all 3 of these games.
After Underdog, this is going to get interesting now.
Yeah,
I think I got to go with F-Zero.
Okay.
Why though?
I'm same F-Zero. Part of the reason I wanted Eliminator Boat Duel in Underdog is because I don't think it can win this category.
Not against Road Rash and F-Zero. Definitely not.
I love Road Rash, but I don't like the way that we played Road Rash when I was a kid. We never we always played the just kill each other on that game. Mm-hmm. There was no race. It was just an all out slaughter in that game.
It was just battle mode consistently, basically.
Exactly. Yeah. So I have to go with F-Zero as a very awesome racing game, and it's a shame that we don't have a new one today.
Liam, what about you?
F-Zero. I feel like it has influenced so many games beyond it. I played Extreme G a ton on the N64. Yep. I played Wipeout a bunch.
Aero Gauge.
None of those games exist without F-Zero. I feel like it broke the mold. I still suck at it. I have tried. I can't do it, but it is very fun.
Yeah, I was looking up Skitchin because I wanted to. It's the only other game besides Road Rash that reminds me of Road Rash. Adam, what's your vote?
I was trying to determine. It was always going to be close between Road Rash and F-Zero. I love Road Rash. I have so many good memories playing Road Rash, but somebody made the point about it not really being a racing game so much.
It can be, but most people didn't play it that way.
But F-Zero, right? F-Zero is pure racing. It's you can kind of bash into each other a little bit, but the point of that is to try to gain an advantage. And I almost can't think of a more just pure racing experience than F-Zero.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no weapons, just go.
Yeah. Just go literally 1,000 miles an hour and be the first one across the finish line. And it's just that's what you do. You navigate the turns, you go as fast as you possibly can without falling off the track. And it's
good luck.
Some of the most
it was a banger.
Some of the most
of a
absolutely
it was
heart-pounding experiences that I've had playing games, short of Resident Evil 4 or something like that, is playing F-Zero GX and just flying through levels at ridiculous speeds. So I got to give it to F-Zero. Plus the innovation of the Mode 7.
Without F-Zero, we don't have Mario Kart.
Right.
Yeah, right.
And
right.
We saw it in other games, but how groundbreaking was that for 1991? You know what I mean?
So
yeah.
I'm voting Road Rash. I'm going to give it to F-Zero. I'm voting Road Rash because I actually didn't have a great time playing this F-Zero game. I still don't like going back to it. Every F-Zero game after this one, awesome. So good, amazing. And I know this started a genre, but this game in particular, I can't play. So Road Rash gets my vote. However, Racing Game of the Year obviously goes to F-Zero, so congratulations, F-Zero.
Yeah, it does.
Boom shaka. Next up.
Punch! Sorry, I need to do a sound effect for each one.
It's good. The Skitchin sound effect earlier is super out of context for the listener, though.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they didn't see you. They didn't see you on screen looking up Skitchin.
I was looking up the years because maybe I missed it, but that was 94. Okay, next game, we have Strategy Game of the Year. This is a genre that I take very loosely, so if there's strategy involved, then sure, it's in here. We've got Civilization for the PC, ActRaiser for the SNES, and SimCity for the SNES. And we're going to start with Liam on this one. Strategy game. You got any strong feelings on this one, Liam?
I think I'm going to go SimCity. I'm going to do it for Timothy Alf. I'm going to do it because I love the SimCity series. It was pretty impressive to be able to play it with a controller and not with a mouse and have it not feel completely janked up. Mm-hmm. I don't actually own this, and it's a pretty cheap cart, so I should probably pick it up. Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, I think comparatively to everything else on this list, it makes the most sense for me.
Okay, right on. And then Sam, how about you?
I'm going to give it to Civilization. You talk about games that pretty much created a subgenre. This is what we call 4X in the turn-based strategy world. You know, so many other games have tried to do it and not captured that exact formula again. I don't have a whole lot of experience with the very first Civilization game, but I have to respect it because I still play Civilization 6 today. I still play Civilization 5 today.
Awesome. I don't have a lot of experience with the Civilization franchise. I wish I did. It just seems like a long game. Adam, what about you? Strategy game of the year?
These are all great games, and they all kind of deserve to be recognized. I'm a big SimCity fan, and I think I've probably played, hundreds and hundreds of hours of SimCity 3000. But I didn't love the SNES. Liam makes some great points, but I personally didn't love the SNES version. So I think that Civilization really does deserve the spot here. Mm-hmm. It did launch an entire genre, and it's in its element. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. As good of a job as they did with it, SimCity for the SNES feels a little bit shoehorned into the format as far as being a controller console game. They got it to work, but I think that Civilization is in its element. It was innovative and it launched an entire genre, so I've got to go with that. But it is close because SimCity was really amazing and really well done, and the fact that they even got it to work at all on the Super Nintendo is worthy of recognition.
Yeah, I'm kind of stuck between Civilization and SimCity as well. I certainly enjoy SimCity, the game itself, quite a bit, and I think what pushes it in the direction of SimCity for me is kind of what you were saying, where they made it work. Like, it's not the best version of SimCity, but it's certainly more than playable and works really well. So SimCity gets my vote on that one. And that means, John, you're our tiebreaker unless you vote.
Have another tiebreaker.
So I also love Civilization as a series, but SimCity, I think, is going to get this one for me as well, just because I had SimCity on Super Nintendo. Probably not 91. It was probably closer to 92. But kind of for the same argument that Sam makes for Civilization, SimCity did for all of the sim genre of games that we have today. Like, they were the first. Mm-hmm. There wouldn't be no Roller Coaster Tycoon. There wouldn't be any of these sim games that are around right now without it. The Sims, any of this stuff. So I mean, it's a big thing too, and it just still amazes me that SimCity didn't have. Like that. Well, I guess it's because it came so early, but didn't have mouse compatibility with the Super Nintendo.
So
Sim Ant did later, but SimCity does not.
Does Sim Earth have mouse?
Nope, just Sim Ant.
Weird.
I mean, there's a ton of games that have support for the mouse, but no sim games.
Yeah.
I don't know about y'all, but I 91, as I'm trying to place things, I didn't have a home PC at that point. I don't think I had a home PC until 93, 94. Mm-hmm. So I was playing SimCity at a friend's house, like a bunch of these other things on this list, or at school in the computer lab when we weren't supposed to. But like this was the way to be able to play this game in 1991. 1994, 1995, you had access to it on a PC. At least I did. But before that, it was the Super Nintendo access that did it for me.
Totes.
Yeah.
And actually, Civilization was on the Super Nintendo as well and was mouse compatible. Mm-hmm. so it could be in this category on Super Nintendo.
Yeah, not 91 though.
I think it. I think it was just a multi-platform release in '91.
All right, well let's look at that.
Maybe it was '92.
Because
Trying to find it.
I thought I would have grabbed that. Let's see here. Civilization on the SNES. Initial release was 91. Come on, Wikipedia. Let's do some... Yeah, it doesn't break it down by platform on Wikipedia.
GameFAQs says that Super Nintendo version was 95.
Wow.
Ooh.
Yeah, and I see 94 and 95 on mine.
Okay.
Okay, so
Well,
it was later.
strategy
Never mind.
game of the year then goes to SimCity for the Super Nintendo. Bing bong.
Nice.
Bing bong.
Bong. Bing bong, bing bong.
That's my filler. All right. Next up, we have Puzzle Game of the Year. That's a fun one. Puzzle games, we have Go-Go Tank for the Game Boy. Hatris for the Game Boy. For those who don't know, Hatris is like Tetris, except not at all, and it's a puzzle game with hats. Quicks for the NES, and Lemmings on the PC. Puzzle games of the year. And we're going to start with Sam on this one.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to go with Lemmings again for all the reasons I put it forward as most innovative. I think that those do also make it just a very fun, interesting game. I also haven't played Go-Go Tank or Hatris, so...
Adam, what do you think? Okay. Me, what do I think? So I'm going to agree with Sam on this one. I think as much fun... I love Quicks. I think Quicks is a super fun puzzle game, but it's not Lemmings. Lemmings is a juggernaut, so I'm super giving it to Lemmings. John?
Me? Mm-hmm. I'm kind of at a loss. I didn't play any of these games. I was kind of looking at Go-Go Tank, and that looks pretty wild. Just to watch the video.
Go-Go
of
Tank
it.
is crazy. You don't even play as the tank. You play as a helicopter.
Yeah, it plays a helicopter. Yeah,
You're, like, guiding
You're, like,
a
trying to
tank.
stack boxes, and
It's pretty fun.
yeah. But I'll go with Lemmings for the sake of letting Sam win a category.
And then Liam, how about you, bud?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Lemmings too, but it looks like Go-Go Tank is like $10 on eBay, so I think I'm also gonna go for that personally.
Dude, Go-Go
but
Tank
I'm
is
voting for
legit.
Lemmings.
Yeah, I
Everybody
might
needs
grab
Go-Go
that
Tank.
myself.
Go-Go Tank is sick. And then Adam, coming back to Adam.
Sorry, someone came to the door and the dog started going crazy. I have to go with Lemmings. I loved it. I would love to play it again in any way that I can. I have never played any of those other games.
All right,
Not a
well,
one.
our first unanimous win is Puzzle Game of the Year going to Lemmings. No arguments needed here. All right, next up, this one's going to be a fun one. We have Shmup of the Year. And in the running, we have Gradius 3 for the Gradius 2. Wait.
No, I think it's
I'm
3.
confused. Gradius 3. Okay. Gradius 3 for the SNES. Hyperzone for the SNES. Super R-Type for the SNES. And Superstar Soldier for the TurboGrafx 16. Superstar Soldier is a pretty iconic TurboGrafx game. That's like one of the first games that are dropped on whatever virtual console or like mini console related to the TurboGrafx. It just is one of those games. Unfortunately kind of an underdog, but you know, it is what it is. And then we're going to start with Adam this time.
Man, it's like R-Type is such a great series. So it's really difficult between Gradius 3 and R-Type. I never played. I don't think I've ever played a single TurboGrafx 16 game, so I have nothing to say about Superstar Soldier. It's difficult. It's really close to a toss-up, but if I had the carts in front of me, I'm probably picking Gradius. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it's because I'm more familiar with it, but it's really, really good. And, you know, it's such a weird genre in that, you know, all the games are essentially at their core pretty much the same, definitely the same concept, but you have really, really strong opinions within the shmup fan community. But I've got to give it up for Gradius 3.
I'm going to echo that. I played Gradius 2 on the TurboGrafx Mini recently. I played a bunch of those games on the TurboGrafx Mini, and even Gradius 2 is just bananas. It's so good. So I love the first Gradius. I'm a huge Gradius fan, so I'm obviously going Gradius on this one. John.
I'm going to shake things up. I'm going with Hyperzone. I don't know if you guys know much about this game.
It's a different perspective, right?
Yeah.
It looks like F-Zero-y. Yeah.
It's a HAL Laboratory game, and it uses a lot of Mode 7, just like F-Zero. But it's also it's like a panorama type. It's like panorama cotton type shmup. It's just a totally different take on the series that Mega Drive was doing it earlier, but this one is definitely some good stuff. I just picked it up recently too, and just got done playing it. So
awesome! I'm surprised. Liam, how about you?
I'm going to go with Gradius as well. I like R-Type, but I feel like I have a better chance of getting further in Gradius than R-Type.
Right. It's a little more forgiving.
I've always wanted to play Superstar Soldier. I've never picked it up. Is it on a virtual console or is it just on the Mini?
It's on the Wii U Turbo. Finding TurboGrafx games on the Wii U Virtual Console is a little crazy. There you are.
I'm going to
go get it. It's on, and it's also on the TurboGrafx Mini. Those are the only modern ways that you can snag it. There's no real TurboGrafx games.
PlayStation 3 also is what it says on here.
Oh, really? Okay, yeah. That whole generation they had. But yeah, Superstar Soldier. I love for what it is, but I have to go Gradius on that one. And then Sam, how about you?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go Gradius by ignorance of the rest of these because I am unfortunately not very experienced when it comes to shmups.
Yeah. All right. Well, by almost unanimous, we've got Shmup of the Year going to Gradius 3. John, I have never...
Don't sleep on Hyperzone. It's cheap, too.
I've never played it, but now I'm interested. You have piqued my interest in Hyperzone. All right, you guys, we've got a big one next. A big, fat one coming up next. We have RPG of the Year. So let's not try to get too in the weeds on this one, but we've got Final Fantasy Legends 2, Crystal Warriors for the Game Gear. Final Fantasy Legends 2 is Game Boy, by the way. Shining in the Darkness on the Sega Genesis. Dragon Warrior 3 for the NES. Golden Axe Warrior for the Master System. And Final Fantasy 2 for the Super Nintendo, which is also Final Fantasy 4 in Japan. That one. That's the one.
Final Fantasy Legend 2 is actually a Saga game.
Right. They're all messed
Final
up.
Fantasy
I'm just
here.
doing the North American names because I'm not about to get into the weeds on that. This is what we knew them as in 91. And we're going to start this time with Adam.
This is going to be another kind of tough one for me. It's definitely between Final Fantasy 2 and Dragon Warrior 3. I didn't get much. I probably played the first Dragon Warrior for a year of real world time. But I didn't get a lot of time with Dragon Warrior 3, but I feel like that's a really consistent series all the way through. Just constant improvements along the way. I played Final Fantasy 2 for a little bit, and it really didn't grab me. It's just one of those games that I felt like kind of it was a chore to try to get through, whereas as much as grindy as it can be, Dragon Warrior never feels like a chore to me. I don't think I've played any of the other games on the list, so it's kind of naturally between those two to me, but the more I'm talking about it, the more I feel like I have to go with Dragon Warrior.
Okay. Dragon Warrior 3 for Adam. So for me, at this stage in my gaming career, RPGs weren't really on my radar. I never really fell in love with any Final Fantasy game until 7, and then I kind of fell out of love with Final Fantasy games. So, but very recently, I played Shining in the Darkness for the first time. It's a first-person perspective dungeon crawling RPG, and I loved it. It was really, really fun. The other standout game on here for me is also Dragon Warrior 3, but man, based on my recent experience, I'm going to have to go Shining in the Darkness. It kicked off Sega's tactics RPG genre with a weird like dungeon crawler, but that game standing on its own 2 feet is still really solid. So yeah, I'm going to have to go with Shining in the Darkness. And then John, what about you?
Man, this category is always tough for me because I have a pretty good love for most of these games. And I also want to shout out Phantasy Star 3, which didn't make the list for
no way.
Sega Genesis. It's not, you don't have to add it. I just wanted to mention it.
Did that come out in 91?
I'm looking.
Yeah, it didn't. It released in 90 in Japan, but it didn't come out till the following year in North America.
Man, I missed Phantasy Star 3. Well, I'm adding it to the list for posterity.
Yeah, you can add it to the list. I'm going to go Dragon Warrior 3, though, just because it's the one I probably put the most time in.
Well, sorry, say your game again?
Dragon Warrior 3.
Okay.
I really do like Shining in the Darkness after playing it. In fact, I went and bought a copy of it for Genesis the other day.
I need to grab one.
I also picked up Crystal Warriors, but I haven't got to play Crystal Warriors yet because I don't have a Game Gear, but I'm getting an adapter for the Pocket, so I'll be playing that one soon. But yeah, definitely Dragon Warrior 3, fantastic game, and we're getting a remake soon.
Awesome, can't wait for that. Liam,
I think I'm going to go Final Fantasy 2, although I feel like I'm cheating a little bit because I didn't play it on Super Nintendo originally. I played it on the DS as the remake. So I don't know if that fully counts, but Final Fantasy IV on the DS was fantastic.
Amazing.
And it takes a great original SNES game and I think elevates it. I haven't sunk a ton of time into Dragon Warrior 3. I never played that on NES. I've played it on the Game Boy Color, I think it technically is. But I only put a couple hours into it. So I'm going to go Final Fantasy 2.
All right. Sam.
I have to go Final Fantasy 2. I thought that was the obvious choice, but it seems like it didn't get that many votes. I wish I could comment on Phantasy Star 3. That's like one of those, I need to get around to that series. But I can't really say anything about it because I haven't played it. Yeah, but I mean, Final Fantasy 2 is really kind of a pivotal moment for that series because that is when, after the first 3 games, that's when they kind of pivoted to these character-driven stories.
There's a reason why it's the one that came to the States.
You have the generic Warrior of Light, and it's kind of a self-insert character or a customizable character. But Final Fantasy 4 or 2 is Cecil's story, and you are playing through his story, and that set the stage for every Final Fantasy game after, because that was far more interesting from a story perspective. I do think it has some structural problems. Like the middle of the game really dragged for me compared to 6, which for some reason I just flew through, but I do think it's still, there's a reason people argue over, when people argue about the best Final Fantasy, it's usually mentioned after 7 versus 6, but it still usually enters that conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that Final Fantasy, in an answer to the initial Zelda success, was supposed to also, like you said, Sam, be that sort of character that you could put yourself into. And this is the first time when it's like, no, you're not going to be this character. we're telling you a story and you're going to experience this like viscerally for 40 hours, 30 hours, whatever.
Wow. Okay. So we're kind of stuck votes wise between Dragon Warrior 3 and Final Fantasy 2. I want Shining in the Darkness to win, but it doesn't seem like that's gonna have. Like it launched an entire series of games for Sega, and it's not a bad game. It's a great game. Dragon Warrior 3 is kind of more of the same from Dragon Warrior perspective, and I know that Final Fantasy 2 was a pivotal moment for that series, but it's still a sequel, so. I don't know. I'm stuck in Shining in the Darkness world. But unless somebody on Dragon Warrior or Final Fantasy camp wants to concede, we're going to just keep having this conversation.
I feel like I call it Dragon Quest 3, but Dragon Warrior 3 in the States was the more iconic game out of the list. Like, it's the one that, you know.
More iconic than Final Fantasy 2?
Oh, yeah. This is like this is like Japan's favorite RPG in the Dragon Quest series.
Yeah,
like this is it. That's why we're getting the remake.
Yeah, but in the States, Final Fantasy 2 was, kind of took it. I mean, it's a Super Nintendo launch year game. Dragon Warrior 3 kind of fell on the NES because nobody had an NES or wanted to play Dragon Warrior on it. Like, if we're just going by like popularity, then it goes by Final Fantasy 2, but that's not a mark of quality necessarily.
I mean, it also introduced the class system, and it was way more open world than the first two games as well. I don't know. It was one of my favorites.
Yeah.
I'm biased. I can't really.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we all are.
I mean, I like Final Fantasy 2 as well, but this one just feels more comfortable to me, and I like the story.
Should we just give it to Final Fantasy 2 because it's Final Fantasy?
That's a horrible idea.
I'm just waiting for somebody on the other camp in one of the camps to say, well, just give it to the other one because of XYZ. Like, if you have an understanding of why the other game might be a better contender for RPG of the year.
So Liam brought up the point of Final Fantasy or the DS remake. And that, I think, is enough for me to move it over from Dragon Warrior, because Dragon Warrior as a series is such a strong contender against the Final Fantasy series, because there's been so many, in my opinion at least, there's been so many missteps in the Final Fantasy world, especially in like the second half. But Dragon Warrior has been consistent, but 3, there's not really anything super memorable about it necessarily compared to the rest of the series. So I would be very comfortable giving it up for Final Fantasy 2.
All right, I'm going to give it to Final Fantasy 2. Maybe Shining in the Darkness should have gone in Underdog of the Year, perhaps. But I am okay with that answer. So
I just like that you're on your island there. I just like that you're like, no matter what, I'm staying on Shining in the Darkness.
Yeah, I'm not conceding. I still think Shining in the Darkness should win, but
fantastic.
By popular vote, I have to give it to Final Fantasy. Over here on my Shining in the Darkness island. Beat 'em up of the year. This is going to be a fun one. We've got the Simpsons arcade game, Turtles in Time in the arcade, Streets of Rage for the Sega Genesis, and Battletoads for the NES. It's almost unfair for an arcade beat 'em up to go up against a console beat 'em up. Almost.
I mean, if we were talking about Streets of Rage 2,
yeah,
I think that stands with the arcade greats. Streets of Rage 1 does not.
Yeah. Well, Sam, why don't you go first then? What's your pick?
I got to go Turtles in Time. We've talked about, these games already in other categories, but Turtles in Time is just, it's amazing.
Adam, how about you?
Well, this is going to be difficult because I already put up my vote for Simpsons earlier. My heart wants to go with Battletoads because Battletoads deserves to win something. And yeah, Simpsons is amazing. Turtles in Time is amazing. Streets of Rage, And I just kind of want to give the nod to Battletoads anyway, but I can't really think of a good reason to, other than I just love that game.
That's fine. You vote with your heart.
But that's not consistent with the way I've been voting thus far.
I also don't care about that. We're just having fun.
I'm just trying to be somewhat consistent. I had to at least mention Battletoads again because it's such a great game.
Let me say this.
But if we're talking beat 'em ups, I got to go with Simpsons.
Okay.
And now you can say what you were going to say.
Let me just say in defense of Battletoads, because Battletoads is my choice. This is a personal experience thing, right? Like Turtles in Time, Simpsons Arcade. There's an argument to be made which one of those is a better quality game than Battletoads. Maybe. It certainly had better graphics. Battletoads was some of the funnest I ever had at a friend's house. Like, I have vivid memories of throwing in Battletoads and
playing the first three levels
and playing the first three levels over and over and over again. But we had fun. It was still fun, you know. You'd break the dude with the legs and get the stick, and now you have a stick, and the characters are iconic. And this is hard for me too because I love Turtles. I've actually never played the arcade Turtles in Time game. I've only played the Super Nintendo game, so that's my consideration there. And as much as I love the Simpsons arcade game, I think I'm voting Battletoads for Beat 'em Up of the Year. Yeah. You also said, Adam, that I agree with. Battletoads has to win something. Like, they have to. So I'm going to sit on Battletoads Island.
Yeah, well, I think I'd like to join you on Battletoads Island, actually.
Come join me, Liam.
If that's cool. I would say, so John made an interesting point earlier that Battletoads, you can't really just classify it as a beat 'em up, but I think that consistently throughout the levels, even though it does change things, it's a beat 'em up. Like, it does a lot of iterations on beat 'em up, and there's shooter and racer and whatnot, but you're beating stuff up. I actually played this a lot more on the Game Boy, which also came out in 91. We don't need to split the vote here.
Okay.
But I loved playing the Game Boy because I felt like with the Game Boy, I could sit in the back of my parents' car or on the couch at Thanksgiving or whatever and just get good. And for Battletoads on the NES, yeah, I didn't make it past the third or fourth level, but on Battletoads on the Game Boy, I got to the end. I didn't beat it, but I got to like the last level.
It has less levels. They omit a lot of levels in the Game Boy version.
It was like 8. There were like 8 levels or 9 levels.
There's like 14 or 15 in the NES version.
Yeah.
And no speeder bike level, man. I can't believe it.
I know.
Yeah, man. But there was a jet ski level. Yeah, it was cool. But anyway, so I'm going with Battletoads, right. And then I will see y'all back here next year for the Streets of Rage 2 Turtles in Time SNES Throwdown.
Man, that's going to be rough.
Bring it, Sam.
John, what's your beat 'em up of the year?
I have to go Battletoads as well.
Yes.
I never played Turtles in Time in arcade either. Not until I got my own arcade. I have to go Battletoads.
That's the thing, right?
Something.
Like, yes, the Simpsons arcade game is amazing and iconic, and it's so good. But I have way more memories with Battletoads. So iconic. I have no emotional attachment to the Simpsons, really. Like, yeah. So,
yeah, just think about beating those crows up. Yeah. Going down that hole.
The spelunking level is so fun.
Oh my God, yeah.
So fun.
Where you swing back and forth. Yeah.
Yep.
That's the thing. Like, I remember a little bit about the other ones, but no, Battletoads takes beat 'em up of the year. We have 3 votes. I'm giving it to Battletoads. Sam and Adam, you guys are welcome on Battletoads Island whenever you want to come.
I mean, I mentioned Battletoads and thought that it should win anyway.
You convinced me.
Right. So I got the ball rolling.
Yeah.
Just
All right.
saying is all.
Action game of the year.
Who's Rash, who's Zitz, and who's Pimple now? Since there's 3 of us on Battletoads Island.
All right, that'll be
That's
post.
the thing.
That'll be post show. We'll
Yeah.
talk about it.
Yeah.
Action game of the year. This is a long list, you guys, because there's a lot of action games, and I'm actually deleting a couple of these from the list because I'm like, that's not an action game. There's other games that are like better deserving. So, Castlevania 2: Belmont's Revenge for the Game Boy, Final Fantasy Adventure on the Game Boy, Metroid 2 on the Game Boy, Shinobi for the Game Gear, Mega Man 4 for the NES, Ninja Gaiden 3: The Ancient Ship of Doom for the NES. Didn't know it was called that. Duke Nukem for the PC, Bomberman for the TurboGrafx, and Super Castlevania 4 for the SNES.
I think you need to
I
move
slipped
Mega
that
Man
one in
4
there
to the next
because
category.
how in the world dare you? Because you put Castlevania 2 on here and not Super Castlevania 4.
Let me
up
tell you
with
guys.
that?
Let me tell you guys something. I made this entire list almost entirely by myself. So if I missed something, it's your fault. Okay, I gave you the list.
Wait, how does that work?
Weeks ago.
Because Super Castlevania 4 is the best action game of
hey, look this over. Let me know if
this
I made
year or
mistakes or if you
basically
want to
any
change
year.
something. And I bet none of you even looked at it. So thank you for
You just
changing
said,
it, Sam.
I did this by myself. I'm dragging y'all down with the ship.
Exactly. Idiots. Okay, so
you need to move Mega Man 4 up to platformer.
Liam's dying over here. I have to move what?
Mega Man 4 needs to go to
Yeah, it's a
platformer,
platformer.
not action.
fine.
Yeah.
Fine.
So it
I
can
mean,
win.
it's an action
I mean, what?
platformer, but
Oh, it has a chance.
John, you're going first. Action game of the year.
I gotta go for the Super Castlevania 4. As much as Castlevania on Game Boy is okay, it's just not the same.
I probably wouldn't have even
You move-
included it if I knew.
You move it like 1 frame a second, like it's really bad.
Yeah.
As far as that goes.
yeah, those two games are almost opposite ends of quality for the Castlevania series.
I had to put
Yeah, I would
Castlevania 2 somewhere. It's,
In fact, it didn't sell, and that's why it cost so much. Castlevania 2.
Liam, your action game of the year.
I'm gonna go Metroid 2. I didn't play it when it initially came out, but I picked it up and played it about 10 years ago, and it was still a blast. I've gone back to it again, and then I played the 3DS version of it. I think it's a great game.
Awesome, solid. Sam, action game of the year.
Super Castlevania 4.
All right.
It says a lot coming from me. Even if Mega Man 4 was still in this category, I would pick it over Mega Man 4.
All right. Adam, action game of the year.
I'm actually going to go with Duke Nukem for
Yes.
the PC.
I don't know why I'm so happy about that. I wanted someone to pick
Just
it.
for the strip club scenes alone.
No, this is nothing.
No, this is the platformer.
This is the early. This had none of that. This was, to me, what was the first time that I ever got incredibly engrossed in a PC game. Before Duke Nukem, at least in my world, it was stunt copter in black and white, dropping the little dude from the helicopter into the hay cart.
Yeah.
Or paint. And my dad was in the semiconductor industry, so we in the 80s and early 90s we always had like the most recent computers, and we got it must have been like it was like a 386. It was, at the time, it was like state of the art computer. It would just blow everything else out of the water in the early 90s. And we had a game called Duke Nukem, and it was so fast and it was so easy to play, and you had to like collect the keys, and there were different colored keys, and you had to really twitchy shooting of the enemies. And man, I played the crap out of that game. And I didn't think that you could play an action game with a keyboard and have it feel so intuitive and twitchy and fun. So I've got to give it, I didn't care for any of the later iterations of Duke Nukem, but that first game was so just purely action fun that I've got to get like I love Castlevania as a series, but Castlevania doesn't feel like an action game to me. It's always so slow and sloggy to me. Ninja Gaiden, I love the series, but the third one, I don't think I've ever played it. Metroid 2 is a strong contender, but I have to give it to Duke Nukem because we're talking about action.
Yeah.
And we've got Metroid and Castlevania on here, and they're more adventure games to me. I got to give it to Duke Nukem.
So I remember playing the Duke Nukem game, or at least watching you play it or something, before it was like a weird, like sex obsessed, bombastic. It was like a puzzle platformer. It was great. Shooter. I feel like Castlevania 4 is gonna win anyway. Here's what I'm gonna do, because I've never played Castlevania 4. Haven't really played many Castlevanias. I have a huge love for the Metroid series, and nothing else on here is really yelling at me. So I'm voting for Metroid, but I will concede that Super Castlevania 4 probably deserves to win.
Same.
Based on my inexperience with it. But Metroid 2 on the Game Boy isn't even a fantastic Metroid game, but it kind of allowed the series to continue.
Sure it is.
And it added a lot of things to the game that the original needed, like a map,
Yeah.
But I love Samus Returns on the 3DS, which is, not the same thing as playing on the Game Boy, but
Right.
So that's that. I'm going to give it to Super Castlevania for this year. I think that it deserves it. I should probably play it. We are going to take a little break at this point. We've got Platformer of the Year coming up. We've got SNES Launch Game of the Year coming up. And then we're going to go through every console and choose the best game for each console. So stay tuned. Come right back, and we'll see you guys in a minute. Welcome back. We have Platformer of the Year up next, and the nominees are Kid Icarus of Myth and Monsters for the Game Boy, Sonic the Hedgehog for the Sega Genesis, Tiny Toon Adventures for the NES, Super Mario World for the Super Nintendo, Bonk's Revenge for the TurboGrafx, and Mega Man 4 for the NES. And we're going to start with Liam. Platformer of the Year.
So I love Super Mario World. There's a lot of great stuff on here. I'm going Mega Man 4. For me, it was the perfect balance for that series. I owned 2 and 3. I played 1. I owned 2 and 3, and 2 was great, but it was impossible. 3 was more accessible, but I still couldn't beat it. 4 I could actually beat. I had a lot of fun. I thought the powers and the enemies were really interesting. I love Pharaoh Man, and I'm gonna go with Mega Man 4.
Sweet. And Sam.
Yeah, Mega Man 4, dude.
Nice.
I'm glad we moved it out of action games so I could vote it for something.
Oh, cool. Liam, what were you holding
I love
up?
me some Mega Man.
Is that complete in box?
No, it's just my game case.
Oh.
And worth mentioning, too, this is the game that actually introduced the charge shot, which is a staple of Mega
So
Man.
important.
No
Yeah.
way. Sweet. Right on, guys. I'm so
Although,
out of
to
touch
be
with
fair,
it.
like, to this day, playing through the Mega Man games, I almost wonder if that was a mistake, because it really detracts from the weapons you earn, because you can just be like, well, why would I use this weapon when I could just use my charge shot for everything?
Good call.
Adam, platformer of the year.
I have to go with Super Mario World. I love Tiny Toon Adventures. I love Sonic the Hedgehog. I love Mega Man 4, but man, Super Mario World is the thing.
So Super Mario World is fine. I'm actually in the camp that thinks that
It's fine.
Listen. I'm in
Get
the
outta
camp
here.
that thinks that Mario 3 is better than Mario World. That's just
Stop it.
the camp that
Agreed.
I have to agree with you there.
Same.
And I also didn't get my Super Nintendo with Mario World. I got it with Donkey Kong Country and didn't even play Mario World for any substantial amount of time until much later.
Ah, jeez.
So
Preach.
I can't vote Mario World. It's not
Y'all
the
are
game
nuts.
to me. Now,
Nuts.
Sonic the Hedgehog,
Ugh.
hear me out.
That's disgusting, man.
Hold on.
That's not Sonic the Hedgehog 2. That's Sonic the Hedgehog 1.
Yeah, I listen, I played
not-
it
it's
recently.
not
I
even-
played it this year and I
Ugh.
still love it. It's
Yeah,
not
but
a
it's
bad
not
game.
even-
You're
the same
voting
league.
Sonic the Hedgehog 1 over Super Mario World.
You're gonna
Really?
lose your
I am.
card,
It's
man.
because it's the platformer of the year, you guys. It
Yeah,
launched.
that game is-
Listen to me. It launched.
Dishonor.
No, shut up. It launched a franchise. It launched a huge franchise. Mario
a franchise
rivaled-
that did not
Franchise that
need to continue
2 games
as
and
long as
fell
it did.
apart.
What are you talking about? Sonic 3 and Knuckles are awesome.
Dishonor on you. Dishonor
3
on your
games.
hedgehog.
Sonic Adventure? Come on, guys.
Yeah.
Sonic the
Now
Hedgehog.
that's where you're starting to go down the slippery slope of the never returning to Sonic. Like
There's
for
great
most
Sonic
players.
games. All the Sonic Advance games
Yeah,
are high quality.
yeah. For me, that was the first game.
All the Sonic Advance games are great. Come on, guys. I don't care what any of y'all say. Sonic
But
the
that's a
Hedgehog.
Super Mario World.
Sonic the Hedgehog's getting my vote. Okay. Mario World's fine. It's the 4th Mario game. It's still just Mario. Sonic the Hedgehog in 1991 created an icon. Okay, birthed an icon who went on to do bigger and better things. This is the platformer of the year.
It definitely changed what platforming was, right? Like when I played Sonic for the first time, I was used to Mario and Mega Man, and I'm used to like verticality and exploration, and I had to rethink how to play a platformer. So it lends credence to your argument. Like it completely reinvented the format. I am not a fan of the first Sonic game. I think Sonic 2 is the best.
Yeah.
This is a Streets of Rage situation where I think the second is much better than the first, and the first needed to happen so the second would
Here's
occur.
my thing. None of you are going to let me put Sonic the Hedgehog as game of the year, even though it deserves it. None of you are going to
It
let me
does
do
not
that.
deserve it.
Okay, I know.
Sonic
That's why I
deserves
said that.
nothing.
So,
Sonic deserves a chili dog
so
and go home.
I'm pushing. I'm pushing hard for Sonic here because it's only going to probably also win maybe Sega Genesis Game of the Year, maybe, but it deserves way more than that based on the what we said about SimCity. We said the exact same thing about SimCity. It's not a great game on Super Nintendo, but it launched, the entire genre of SimCity. But you guys can't give Sonic that same consideration, which I
But
find
Sonic
interesting.
didn't launch a genre. It's
It
a
exists within a genre.
Yeah, it's a well done, unique take on a genre, but it didn't create a genre.
created an icon.
I think that you're also just
Sonic
concerned.
the Hedgehog is a mistake, in my opinion.
I think you're
You're a
also
mistake.
concerned because Sonic 2 is going to lose to Link to the Past next year, and so you feel like this is your shot.
I'll get Sonic 3. It's fine.
So-
There's enough to Sonics.
Oh, I'll vote Sonic 3 right along with you.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm done talking. John, what's your vote?
I have to go Super Mario World. It's like, as far as platformers go, it's like the most tightly crafted platforming game, like where platforming is the focus. Like I love Mega Man, but like combat is more of the focus in a Mega Man game than the platforming. I mean, it exists, but like Mario, that's his thing. Like that's the whole sole point of the game is the platforming. And there's probably not a tighter platformer than Super Mario World on the Super Nintendo. Like, and I'm with you guys as far as Mario 3 goes. I prefer Mario 3 over Super Mario World. But as far as like Super Nintendo goes, that's the one. Like,
All right.
it's fantastic.
Well, John,
Buttery smooth.
John, I'll shift my vote to Super Mario World, but I'm looking at you when we get to the NES category because I see Dragon Warrior 3 in there, and I need a little Mega Man 4 love in there. I'm just saying.
That's interesting.
Now this is becoming
It's a trade.
a trade-off.
Scratch my back out.
Diplomacy.
Scratch
I know.
yours.
Yeah,
Oh,
nobody's
man.
on my side. All right,
Forming
platformer
a
of the
political
year.
action committee or something.
Platformer of the year,
Sonic?
surprising no one, is Super Mario World for the Super Nintendo on 3 votes.
As it should be.
It's fine.
Yeah.
I knew it was going to go that way. I'm not upset about it. I just had to throw in the gauntlet for Sonic a little bit. All right, you guys. We are hit. Listen, this is not. We're done talking about it. Okay, I'm over it.
It's just man.
Super Nintendo Game of the Year. Let's talk about something good, eh? Some good Super Nintendo games. We have Castlevania 4 for the I'm not even going to say the console. F-Zero, Final Fantasy 2, Street Fighter 2, and Super Mario World. SNES Game of the Year. Now we're crossing genres. We're crossing all kinds of different things. We're just talking about this is the game that defines this console in terms of quality, in terms of mascot, in terms of innovation. Where do you land? I'm going to start with Sam on this one.
Yeah, Super Castlevania 4. I think this game actually is a great showcase of the Super Nintendo as well. What the sound can do, especially. You did have Mode 7 featured in this game. You know, as a launch game, but also just as a quintessential Super Nintendo game. It just does so much at once in a very compact package. Once you learn this game, you can play through it in an evening, and I do from time to time frequently. It's just one of those games that's nearly perfect.
Right on. All right. Adam, SNES Game of the Year.
If we're talking about defining the console, it has to be Super Mario World. It has to be. It's a nearly perfect game, accessible for anybody. Kids, teenagers, middle-aged, old people, doesn't matter. Super Mario World is the thing, and
it's got Yoshi
nothing-
for crying out loud.
it's got Yoshi. It's got dinosaurs.
So does Yoshi's Cookie. I mean, I don't know.
You can't.
And Yoshi's Cookie is a fantastic
That's
game.
like comparing Sonic to
Shut
Super
up.
Mario World.
Get out of here with that. Super Mario World.
The
solid
correct
choice.
answer is Super Mario World.
Okay. Listen, I don't dislike Super Mario World. I'm going to vote Super Mario World for Super Nintendo Game of the Year. That's what it is. It is what it is. It defines.
Put me down there too.
It defines the console itself. John, where are you swinging?
I think I have to go Super Mario World just because, but as far as like time put into these games, Street Fighter 2 is going to take it for me. Like that was it, man. Fighting games and buddies, and there was no real multiplayer in Super Mario World. So if I had friends over, we were playing Street Fighter, man.
Was it the original Street Fighter 2 though, and not Turbo?
I had both.
Oh, okay.
I had Street Fighter 2 first, and then when Turbo came out, I upgraded.
Yeah.
Also played lots of Mortal Kombat, but it's not on this list.
That's
yet.
good. You should. It should be said that Street Fighter 2 was pretty iconic on the Super Nintendo.
Oh, it's phenomenal.
It didn't come to the Sega Genesis at all until much later. So,
well, it was a very good it was the first like real solid port of a fighting game from the arcade to a home console.
All right, Super Nintendo Game of the Year, Super Mario World. Yeah, surprising no one. We've got TurboGrafx 16. This is going to be a tough one because I'm going to assume that none of us have played any of these games. I almost want to throw this out, but we have some fans
Bomberman
might be upset about that. Bomberman is in there.
See, I was fine with Bomberman for best multiplayer, but for just overall best game, I actually want to say Turrican.
Yeah, same.
I would go with that.
I think Turrican has always looked cool. I've never played it, but it seems really sweet. It's like a metal guy. He shoots stuff.
Yeah, that's what it looks as cool as it
You
is.
guys don't want to vote Bonk?
I mean, he's fine.
I don't like playing Bonk.
No, I always think I would. I tried
don't think anybody
yeah.
did.
Yeah.
I got to go Turrican also.
Sweet. Adam.
I'm not even going to bother, to
All
be
right.
honest.
Turrican it is.
I've never played any of these games.
TurboGrafx 16 Game of the
Sweet.
Year, Turrican. Everybody should go play it. It's fantastic.
Now,
PC?
I'm interested on this next one because I feel like I want to hear what Sam has to say on this next one.
PC Game of the Year, we've got Civilization, Duke Nukem, Lemmings, Microsoft Entertainment Packs 2 and 3, Monkey Island 2, and Super Mario Bros. Print World. Also not a game, but here we are. Sam, let's just start with you, bro.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, the two games on this list that stick out are the ones I've already mentioned before. It's between Civilization and Lemmings, and I'm actually going to give it to Civilization.
Good deal. Good deal. Adam?
It's kind of tough because, as previously mentioned, I love Lemmings. I love the original Duke Nukem. I love Monkey Island. I have a big space in my heart for Monkey Island and those games.
But you're going Print World, aren't you?
I mean, yeah. Print
not a
World
game.
was so ahead of its time. It was Labo before Labo.
It was.
I hate you guys so much.
You're going ski free is what you're going for, right?
This is tough. I think if we're going, what defines the format, I have to go with Civilization. I love Monkey Island so much, and I love Lemmings, but like the type of PC games that I like to, or that at least that I was really into in that kind of era of gaming, Civilization was the thing, man. It was everything. So,
All right. Right on.
I'm going with that.
The vote for me in this PC Game of the Year has to go to Lemmings. I didn't have a lot of experience with the other games. I wish I had played more Civ. It seems really cool. But again, I think based on the innovation, the simplicity, it kind of started a whole new genre. I'm going Lemmings for me. John? John?
I mean, it's a solid choice.
Is John frozen?
No, I have to go Civilization.
You were thinking, sorry. You looked like
I
you were
was,
frozen.
yeah. I was pondering deeply.
Yeah.
Between that or Microsoft Entertainment Packs.
Oh my gosh. All right, Liam, how about you?
I mean, I'm going to throw it in there for Duke Nukem, even though it's not winning. I loved the Apogee games that were coming out. Commander Keen, all of the Commander Keen games were fantastic. They did amazing platformers. There was one called Secret Agent. There was Crystal Caves. There was so many good ones.
Holy crap.
Shoutouts to Commander Keen.
Yeah, Commander Keen's fantastic. If Commander Keen was on here, I'd be making a stink about it. Duke Nukem's a blast, but give it to Civ.
All right. Civilization is the PC game of 1991. Congrats, Civ. Good deal. Here we go. Sega Genesis Game of the Year. We've got Road Rash. We've got Shining in the Darkness, Sonic the Hedgehog, Streets of Rage, and Toe Jam and Earl.
Oh, man, Dan, what are you doing?
I'm going to go first.
Here's your chance, Dan.
I'm going to go first.
Shining in the Darkness. There it is.
I'm voting for Sonic the Hedgehog.
Oh, gosh.
Because it's the Sega Genesis Game of the Year. All right? It's 1991, and Sonic was born, so I'm voting for Sonic. That's it. See, it's my whole argument.
This isn't even the 5th best game on this list.
Get out of here. Y'all on your Sonic hate. Can't wait till Fire Emblem gets on here. Like, I'll rip you guys a new one.
It's going to be a while.
You put me down for Sonic too, Dan.
Hey!
Just because looking at this, there's nothing else I feel so strongly about that I'll give it to Sonic. It's just iconic, like launching
That's what it is.
huge franchise. As I made the argument for the Lost mascot.
It's the
round.
Sega Genesis Game of the Year. John, who are you voting for?
Well, since I didn't feel right putting it in the racing category, I have to go with Road Rash here.
Okay.
Split the vote.
So much time going into Road Rash, man. It was a blast. Way more time than Sonic.
Of course. Even though Sonic's faster, but it's fine. Sam, how about you?
I actually want to give it to Shining in the Darkness. I haven't played much of it, but to be honest, I haven't played much of any of these games. The only game that I have played all the way through is Sonic the Hedgehog, and I regret that.
Oh, gosh.
Man, I mean, Adam could tie it up and make it real
Adam, you going to vote Toe Jam and Earl for me or what?
No, I really have to go with Sonic on
Yes!
this one. I mean,
Nice.
I got the Genesis specifically for Sonic, and I played as inadequate as it feels nowadays. When that was the only Sonic the Hedgehog to be had, it was great.
And it only got better.
It did only get better, and well, until a certain
Which
point,
means it's the worst. Okay.
Yeah, you know what? That's fine. That's totally
that's a
fine.
good point. But as far as Sega Genesis Game of the Year, and we're talking about it defining the console,
It's the game.
it's got to be Sonic.
Sonic the Hedgehog, Sega Genesis Game of the Year.
Because let's
It
be
had
honest,
to win something.
the Genesis didn't create genres. It Sega did very well with taking established formulas and putting a unique spin on them. That's a very Sega thing to do.
Yeah.
And so
It's all
Sonic,
about blast processing, man.
the blast processing is
Blast
important,
processing.
right?
Not that you don't have Sonic.
You know, you had a headphone port and a volume control right there on the console. I mean, come on.
Thank you guys for giving me Sonic the Hedgehog.
I have to give it to Sonic the Hedgehog. It's not even a concession. That's honestly my pure vote.
I unironically have fun playing that game.
Ugh. If it was two, I would be all over
That's
this.
the thing. I also
This
I
wouldn't-
love to,
I cannot vote for one for anything.
It's not bad.
This wouldn't be a fun or
This
interesting.
was the raspberries.
thing to
I would say,
listen to.
okay.
So any NES game of the
We didn't
year.
disagree.
NES game of the year. We've got Battletoads, Dragon Warrior 3, Mega Man 4, Ninja Gaiden 3, and Totally Rad, which is totally not going to win, but you know, I put it in there for me. And we're going to start with John.
Well, I guess
John.
I'm voting for Mega Man 4.
No, you vote for you vote for whatever you want.
No, I actually do like Mega Man 4. I wasn't just against Mario World. You can't.
Sure. Yeah.
But no, I do like Mega Man 4.
Good deal. Liam.
I mean, Mega Man 4.
Yeah, heck yeah. Sam.
You know I'm voting for Mega Man 4.
All right. Adam.
Mega Man 4.
I haven't played Mega Man 4, so just since it's going to win anyway,
Get out.
I'm
You're
going
gonna go
to
to Totally Rad.
I'm going to vote
Get out.
I'm going to vote Battletoads
Battletoads.
cuz it's good. It's great. What's wrong with Battletoads?
This is a hard category because Ninja Gaiden 3 is really good as well.
Yeah.
And Dragon Warrior 3.
And Dragon Warrior 3, yeah. I mean, played all these games a lot.
NES game
So,
of the
go.
year by popular vote though. Mega Man 4. I'm glad
Based
it
on
won.
truth.
I saw one at Game Over the other day for like 30, maybe 35.
I know if I didn't have expensive Christmas gifts to purchase for two demanding young ladies, I probably would have had you pick it up for me.
Yeah. Well, you got, what did I get you? I got you Star Tropics.
Yeah, we got Star Tropics. That'll
deal.
be fun.
handheld game of the year, you guys. It's Game Boy versus
We know what
Game
Dan's
Gear.
voting for.
Shut up! You don't know. The
Sonic
Game
the
Gear
Hedgehog.
Sonic the Hedgehog is not good. That's a bad game. I'm not happy about that port. Final Fantasy Legends 2 for the Game Boy, Kid Icarus of Myth and Monsters for the Game Boy, Metroid 2 for the Game Boy, Shinobi for the Game Gear, and Sonic the Hedgehog for the Game Gear. And we're going to start with Adam.
Metroid 2 all the way, not even a question.
Sweet. I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna see how this plays out. So, John.
Man, I really want to go with Kid Icarus, but I think I have to go Metroid.
Do it.
I think
Kid
I have to go
Icarus,
Metroid.
man.
I know I love them both, but I
Look at
played
all
more
these other
Metroid
games,
too.
though, and like I would still accuse Metroid 2 of this. It is a pared down version of Metroid. Like, it is inferior to NES Metroid. It's definitely inferior to Super Metroid.
I would disagree that
I think it's a
inferior
step
to original NES Metroid.
I mean, yeah, I guess I'm forgetting how NES Metroid was pretty rough.
I don't know. It's different.
It was just raw.
It's so different. Like the
Yeah.
screen size on the Game Boy really hindered my enjoyability or whatever of that game.
Yeah, but that sprite was so good. Like the Samus sprite is amazing on Metroid.
It was
2.
pretty. I just had a hard time with it.
But I think that by contrast, you know, you look at some of these other games too, like Sonic the Hedgehog for Game Gear, and you know, it's a pared down version of a console game. Mm-hmm. Kid Icarus Myths and Monsters does not feel like that at all. It feels like a better version of the NES game in a lot of ways.
Fair.
Because as we mentioned before, like, you don't die when you fall off the bottom of the screen. You actually fall back down in the level. You can go up and down. You can go back down and back up. It smooths out the game's odd difficulty curve. The NES game is really most difficult at the very beginning, I would say.
Yeah,
I think it's
This
easier as
game
you
actually
go.
has a well-adjusted difficulty curve to it. I really think it does deserve to be the best handheld game of the year. Mm-hmm. If you need any further convincing, one of the bosses in Myths and Monsters is Pythagoras, and he shoots triangles at you.
That's right.
Great.
Yep.
That's right. Yeah, yeah. The boss battles were great. I thought in Kid Icarus for Game Boy, and I think the power ups were much more balanced. And there were things that weren't clear in the NES Kid Icarus about like how stats and skills and strength and whatever was calculated, and the Game Boy, you could figure it out. Like, as a kid who was playing this, I wasn't playing this in 91. I was probably playing it in 93. I could actually play this game. I couldn't play Kid Icarus on NES. I tried. Metroid, I made it through with my dad. I could not make it through Kid Icarus. This game is leaps and bounds over the NES version and deserved more beyond this, like Metroid got. And so I want to celebrate that it had a shining moment before it was thrown into the darkness.
Yeah, I thought it was going to go this way, and so I wanted to wait because I think I have to go Kid Icarus on this one. And I haven't even played this, but based on what you guys are saying and based on my experience with Metroid 2, if Kid Icarus is ever going to win anything, it's going to be this. For the rest of GOTY-30, you know? Like, maybe the 3DS. But, like, I'm going Myth and Monsters on this one. And so it wins the popular vote. But I'm wondering if Adam or John will concede their point, or at least just say like it probably deserves it, even though Metroid 2 is the obvious choice.
Oh no, I already said it was a tough choice between the two.
Yeah.
I like them pretty equally, but I just feel like Metroid 2 is just a really solid game.
Yeah,
I enjoyed it a lot.
yeah.
I feel
for
like
sure.
it's more frustrating. It's more frustrating to go find the Metroid that you missed than getting hit by an eggplant wizard. And so for that reason, it's Kid Icarus.
Kid Icarus is handheld game of the year of Myth and Monsters. Go check it out. Download it on your 3DS. Okay, we have reached the final 3 awards. We have Console of the Year, Community Game of the Year, and finally our Game of the Year. As far as Console of the Year, we have the NES, the Sega Genesis, the TurboGrafx, the Game Boy, the Game Gear, the Super Nintendo, which launched, and the CDI. We could probably pare this down to a couple of them, but I'm just going to go through and see what everybody votes for, and then we'll have our convo. Let's start with Adam.
This is pretty tough, but I'm going with NES simply because I think that the Super Nintendo is, absolutely iconic and one of the best game consoles of all time. But it was sort of an incremental increase or upgrade from the NES. The NES is basically solely responsible for bringing the gaming industry out of a complete crash. Mm-hmm. And you have to give it credit for that. You got to give Nintendo credit for that. And, at one time there was such a thing as the term playing Nintendo. And, I remember going to a friend's house and they said, "Hey, you want to play Nintendo?" I was like, "Hell yes, I want to play Nintendo." And we went into this other room and it was a PC playing a PC game. Like it at one time, playing Nintendo was like saying Band-Aid. It was the brand that became synonymous with that product of video games because, we kind of had the video game crash and Nintendo brought us back. So, and the NES is the console that did that. So I got to go with NES for that reason alone.
Yeah. Yeah, right on. John.
When I think about console of the year, I try to think about what released that year.
Yeah.
Per console. And I do have to say that I think even though the NES was very well established, this is kind of the time where we're seeing it be long in the tooth. And most of the games that came out that year were stuff that people had already, everyone dropped in, and they're the games that are high dollar now because they didn't sell very well because the Super Nintendo came out. So I think I have to go with Super Nintendo due to that, just because of the quality and the how many games came out that were good. Quantity.
Good deal. Liam.
I mean, it has to be
CDI.
Be the CDI.
Oh my god!
Look at that! Look at this!
Holds up a freaking CDI.
Look at
Congratulations to the CDI for daring to exist.
Liam, can you stream some Hotel Mario for me on my channel?
He held the CDI aloft.
Where else can you watch Forrest Gump? Right. The Secret of Nim and play Space Ace. Come on, guys.
What?
No, it is. It's obviously the Game Boy. I mean, the Game Boy, for me, again, we're talking about 91, where I was at in my life. I could play it anywhere. Super Nintendo and regular Nintendo were fantastic. I loved them, but I could only play them in my room or maybe in the living room sometimes. The Game Boy, I played everywhere, and the games for it were great. I could take it. I tried to take it to school, couldn't. But I adore the Game Boy. It has a special place in my heart, and I think it was really starting to hit its stride in.
Sweet. And Sam.
Yeah, it's got to be the Super Nintendo. I think Adam makes a good case for the NES, but we are confining this discussion to just the year of 1991. And I think by then, whatever great things we can say about the NES, its time had come and gone. Now, I will say that, like, you look at that list of games we nominated for NES Game of the Year, and there's some wonderful games in there. It's really impressive that in the year that a new system came out, we had so many great games for the old system. We did not see Wii U games of this quality coming out in 2017 or 2016.
They just stopped altogether for the most part. That's what most consoles do nowadays.
Like that speaks a lot to how successful the NES was and how much there still was to do with that hardware. how much desire there was to keep pushing that hardware. I mean, you can bring up the Genesis, but honestly, at least to my personal taste, the Genesis just didn't output a whole lot that year that I think stands up to the same level. And the Super Nintendo still, I think a lot of the very best was yet to come. But I do think it actually did have a pretty strong launch, and this was its year.
Man, it's super tough. Super tough because it's hard to look at any of these lists and be like, well, this, between NES, Genesis, SNES, and even what Game Boy had was pretty iconic. 91 was an iconic year, so I think I'm giving it to the Super Nintendo as well. I love the Super Nintendo. And I know we're still, even though we're confining it to the year that it came out, it started with iconic games. So I'm putting my personal taste aside because I would really love to vote Sega Genesis based on Toe Jam and Earl and Sonic the Hedgehog and Shining in the Darkness. Those are three of my favorite games on that system, all in one year. But I can't turn my back on the Super Nintendo for Console of the Year. So, based on popular votes, Super Nintendo wins Console of the Year. It's launch year. Good deal. I'm happy about that. So, Community Game of the Year. I actually have to go in and open up in the Google Drive because I forgot to do that earlier in the show. How's everybody doing?
Feeling good.
Yeah.
I gotta say, we talk about the Switch's launch year as being so strong because of Breath of the Wild and Odyssey, and it is.
And Splatoon. And
yeah,
Mario
Kart. Well, Mario Kart is a Wii U game. But looking at the Super Nintendo, I didn't realize that its year one lineup had fantastic Final Fantasy game, probably the best Castlevania game other than Symphony of the Night, Super Mario World. I mean, that is an incredible first year for that console.
Yeah, big time.
Agreed.
Okay, Community.
I think we voted Game Boy last year, didn't we?
Game Boy won last year, yeah, because
that was its launch year. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Tetris. Okay, so Community Game of the Year. I put every game that we had on our list that was good enough to make it to the nominees in a spreadsheet, and I had everybody vote. And so coming in at number 3 with 4 votes is Turtles in Time Arcade. Eric, Andros, Spider-Shan, and Steven's NES all voted for, I gave everybody 3 votes, Turtles in Time. Coming in at number 2, we have The Simpsons Arcade, got 1 more vote than Turtles in Time. Red, MTG, I don't know this name, Adrock, you, Adam, Fight Crab, and Text Tree all voted for Turtles in Time. And then far and away, with how many votes is this? 12, 13 votes for Super Mario World. Coming in at number 1. There were a couple that had 3. Metroid 2 had 3 votes. Dragon Warrior 3 had 3 votes. And then everything else were kind of one-offs. But yeah, Super Mario World winning Community Game of the Year makes sense, I think.
I think that means Bonk is going to take Game of the Year. I don't know about you guys.
I think so.
Bonk's revenge.
I'm feeling it. All right. Rounding it off here, Game of the Year discussions. Now, these are the games that just seemed like they deserve to be here. If you want to throw a different game in here, be my guest. But here are the ones that I chose for nominees. Simpsons Arcade. Turtles in Time Arcade. Metroid 2 for the Game Boy. Sonic the Hedgehog for the Sega Genesis. Battletoads for the NES. Super Mario World for the SNES. Bonk's Revenge, TurboGrafx, and Castlevania 4 for the SNES. Good. Let's start with Liam.
I mean, it's got to be Super Mario World. I'm just looking through everything else that we picked throughout everything else here. I mean, it's Super Mario World or Super Castlevania, I think. And not Gradius, not SimCity, not F-Zero. Yeah, no, it's gotta be Super Mario World. Sorry to be so vanilla,
Tough to compete.
It's fantastic.
It's tough to compete with Mario.
Yeah.
It honestly is.
Yeah, I didn't. It wasn't. My launch was Link to the Past. I didn't play Super Mario World until it was released on the GBA. But it's a great game.
I'm not budging on Super Castlevania 4.
All right.
I've nominated it every category we've put.
Do it.
Did it win anything?
No.
You guys need to play Super Castlevania 4.
No,
We don't have a
Sam.
we
It
don't-
won Action Game of the Year.
Yeah, the
that's
action
good.
game.
That's okay. Yeah, that's solid.
It's solid,
At least
But-
give it that much.
but you're still voting for Game of the Year.
Yeah.
All right.
We don't have a best soundtrack category. It should win that too.
I had to
I
get
don't
rid
know.
of a couple categories because we got a lot of people, so we
Right.
for time.
Right.
But happy to change the categories up every year if somebody has an idea. Adam, Game of the Year.
Well, I also hate to be vanilla, or should I say vanilla dome. But I'm going with Super Mario World. And also I'm giving it to Super Mario World because for console of the year, in my mind, I was going with just kind of overall historically rather than just looking at 1991. And that was probably, my take was probably the incorrect way to look at it, at least in terms of the context here. So I'm in my mind, I'm redeeming myself of that slight misstep, and I'm giving it to Super Mario World.
Okay, awesome.
Dan,
I'm voting for Sonic the Hedgehog
you are.
Oh my!
because here's what
God.
happened. Here's how it went.
No, I don't even want to hear it.
Mario 1 was really good. Mario 2 was even better. Mario 3 was the best. And then Mario World kind of came back down for me. It came back.
For you,
Took a step back. So I'm voting for the game in 1991 that launched a franchise, birthed an icon.
it did not.
Yes, it did.
Absolute no. It did not launch a franchise.
It did. It did.
Yes, it did.
definitely
Okay,
did.
okay.
It factually launched a franchise.
Not a
It
genre.
launched.
Okay.
It launched a franchise, not a genre.
I didn't
Right.
say
I'm sorry.
A
Did I-
franchise that doesn't deserve anything.
I'm just mad. I'm on the.
Okay.
I'm mad.
Sonic deserves to win because
No.
yes, because and not, like, if you put those two games side by side, like, sure, Mario World's a better game, but that's not what I'm voting on.
Then you vote for Mario.
That's recorded. That was just recorded. We just
Yes.
recorded that.
Mario is a better
deserves-
game in
Sonic deserves
1991
recognition.
and any time.
Sonic
I'm
deserves
going to vote for
recognition.
Sonic anyway.
Sonic deserves
recognition,
Yeah.
but does not deserve to win over. Sonic doesn't even deserve to
listen,
win over Battletoads.
in 1991,
No.
Sonic the Hedgehog.
Sonic doesn't even deserve to win over Eliminator.
Let me talk for a second.
That's my vote is Eliminator Vote Duel.
Let me talk for a second. Okay, Sonic the Hedgehog. Here's the thing. We're talking about 1991. Okay, we're talking about iconic things that happened. We're talking about what was important in 91, things that launched in 91, things that are indicative of what the 90s, starting out the 90s, was about. Okay, and Mario is an 80s character. He started in the 80s. He's a kiddie character. The 90s is about extreme neon, fast, gross out humor. That's what the 90s is about. And Sonic the Hedgehog embodies that way more than Mario does. So my vote for the 90s is Sonic the Hedgehog. And I'm done talking.
That's a great argument.
John.
That's a great argument.
John, please tell me that you're voting for Mario World so we could be done.
Well, it wouldn't matter unless I was voting for Castlevania 4.
It's so
Or
bad.
Which I'm
Sonic.
not. I'm voting for Super Mario World. It was definitely the. I mean, is I don't know if I would even like. There is just as many people that would say that Super Mario World is the best 2D Mario game as there is 3. Like, it's a pretty split down the road. Like, that argument will last forever. But yeah, no, it's in 1991 Super Mario World. It is that's where it was at.
Yep.
All right. Good. Well, majority vote certainly goes to Super Mario World, and I'll concede to that for sure. Castlevania 4 deserves its due. Sonic the Hedgehog deserves its due. But Game of the Year for 1991 is Super Mario World for the Super Nintendo. Well deserved. Congratulations. Kind of surprising no one, but you know, if Mario is in a year, it's going to be tough to compete. Which is kind of how it is.
I thought Adam was just going to like get in the spreadsheet and delete Sonic the Hedgehog out of there. To kill it.
I would have noticed. That's
I love Sonic. I spent so much time with Sonic. I chose the Genesis over the Super Nintendo for myself at the time. I'm the one that got the Genesis. Dan was the one that got the Super Nintendo. So I love Sonic.
But we're not at 94 yet.
In hindsight, historically speaking, Super Mario World is the correct answer.
Okay. It's fair. Well, thank you guys for listening to the RetroLogic podcast. This is super fun. We do this every year. Anybody have any final thoughts? Anything they want to say? Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Holidays. Be good. I hope you had lots of presents.
All I want to say is that 1991 was also an amazing year for popular music. And if you enjoy popular music from the early 90s, you might possibly want to check out the next episode of Retro Groove.
Hey.
It'll be fun.
And that's all I have to say.
Okay, cool. This is airing in like late December. So I don't know when y'all are launching.
Well, you can still go and listen to it.
Go do it.
Still archived.
Go do that. Well, thanks for listening to the RetroLogic podcast. We are proudly part of the Nintendo Dads family of podcasts. If you like what you hear, you can follow me on Twitter at RetroLogic Games. In my Twitter bio is the link to our Discord, where we have the friendliest, least toxic bunch of retro gamers I've ever met. And they got to vote in this awards show, and that was really fun. Go to retrologic.games to check out all the stuff. The Discord is in there. There's a game store, merch store, all those things. And for me, for Adam, for John, for Liam, for Sam, the whole RetroLogic crew, Happy New Year. Thank you guys for listening so much, and we will see you next year.
The dream of the 90s is alive on RetroLogic.
Awesome.